In the name of God, the most merciful, the most kind. My name is Dr. Ehsan Sharif. I am a faculty member at Tehran University of Medical Sciences as well as King's College London, and I've been in the UK since I was 4. I lived there for around 23 years, and came to Iran since around 11, 12 years ago. And so my upbringing was in England, in Manchester, and then later on in London. The term New Islamic Civilization was mentioned by martyr Imam Khamenei, Seyyed Ali Khamenei, maybe I think 15, 20 years back. And it showed his vision for Islamic Republic of Iran, as well as the region, as well as the world as well. Because when he wrote the letters to the European youth or Western youth, he mentioned about reciting Quran, reading the Quran and reading directly from Quran, and do not hear from anyone else, because there's the mainstream media, which is owned by America and the Western countries. Literally, they have their own agenda and propaganda regarding Islam, regarding Quran, teachings of Islam. And also they have this stance against Islamic Republic of Iran, and in particular against the leader himself. So the letter that he wrote to the youth in the Western world, he mentioned, go read the Holy Quran directly yourselves, and think about it. Think about those judgments that they are making in the mainstream media, and see if it's true when you go and read it yourselves. And so this was his vision. And so this new Islamic civilization is not just beneficial for the Muslim countries in this region. It's beneficial for all countries all over the world. And it doesn't mean that Iran wanted to make them to convert into Islam. If that was the case, we have in Iran, we have Christians, Jews, Zoroastrians. They are living peacefully in Iran. Closer to my house is a Christian church compared to a mosque. And then on the same street, close to my house, there's a Jewish synagogue. So in Iran, different faith and religions live side by side peacefully together. And on top of that, according to Iranian constitution, each member of these communities, religious communities, they should have a member of parliament dedicated to their faith inside Iran's parliament, in case if any laws is being passed against their faith, then they can object to it, and also they can look after the rights of those religious groups, Christians, Zoroastrians, and Jews in Iran. So this shows that this judgment that I'm making, based on the mainstream media owned by the West, and in particular America, and in reality the Zionist entity, they own these mainstream media. And they're trying to say, oh, Iran is against the Jews. No, we have ancient Jewish people who are living in Iran since more than 1,000 years ago, and they're living peacefully here in Iran. And as I said, they're practicing their religion. So this new Islamic civilization is beneficial not just for Muslim individuals. It will assist and help other nations and other countries as well. And this is a term that was raised and initiated by late Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei. And it was him that actually termed this. And it made individuals in Iran to think bigger and to realize we are not just going to live for ourselves. We have to have an impact, and we have to help other countries and other nations too. And so coming to this, I realized the Western countries and Western world, they do not know Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei as the way they should. And again, it's just because of the propaganda and the mainstream media, Western media, trying to defame him in order to reach their agenda and goals. And one big reason for it, which shows it's totally wrong. So Iranian, he was a leader of Iran, and Iranian get to know him more than anyone else. So look at all these thousands and millions of people attending all these nights in Iran, in different cities in Iran. For instance, in Tehran, we have more than 130 locations where people go at night and they demonstrate and show their solidarity with the country, with the leader, and supporting the independence of Iran. And these are all the goals that Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei was mentioning and endorsing throughout all these years in order to have a stronger Iran, more independent Iran. And we can see it right now, just in Tehran, 130 locations per night for 120 something nights till now. That's never happened throughout the world. So that's a new world record. And not just Tehran, all the cities in Iran, all villages in Iran. So everyone goes out to show their solidarity. This shows the amount of love that the individuals have to the leader. In a few days' time, we'll have the farewell and the funeral of the leader in Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei in Tehran, in Qom, and also there will be a funeral in Iraq, in different cities in Iraq, and then Mashhad. I'm sure by the time this is going to be broadcasted, funeral is gone. So you can see for yourselves, if this individual, Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei, was the person that the Western media is saying, how come millions and millions of people are attending his funeral? And for this reason, I would say, go and investigate for yourselves. Don't just rely on the Western media. You need to read for yourselves. You need to go and investigate for yourselves. Who was he? And what his goals? And was it like he was just trying to make Iran as a superpower in order to oppress other nations, just like the way we've seen superpowers do, such as America, throughout these centuries? In the last 2 centuries, this is exactly what America is trying to be doing, by sabotaging, by killing native individuals. And then if they are coming to deal with you, if they're coming to an agreement with you to give all of their wealth to you, then that's good. Otherwise, you fire gunshots to their heads and everything, trying to take over by force. This is not how Iran's working. So right now, they say this axis of resistance and everything, they're proxies of Iran. No, nobody's proxy of Iran. They're independently working for themselves. Iran wants sovereign nations around itself. Iran wants our neighboring countries to become more stronger. And this is the stance of Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei. And this was what he was telling when the Iraqi Prime Minister and President came to Iran. He mentioned to them that a stronger Iraq, a stronger neighbor for us is better for us. And Iran was helping out them. But again, a country which is thousands and thousands of miles away from us, called America, because of its own interest, and we know their interest is the wealth and the minerals and the oil of the countries in this region. And for that reason, they've said, even Joe Biden, I remember when he was maybe 20 something, 30 years ago, he said, if the country of Israel was not existent in this region, we would create new Israel, because it serves their interests in order to loot and sabotage more of these countries and nations. I think, this is what I think, when Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei noticed about this Western propaganda, and he mentioned it throughout his speeches, that this media warfare that they're using and the tools that they have and the wealth that they have. So in order to reach to his audience in the Western countries, he wrote, I think twice, wrote letters to the youth directly. And in one of them he mentioned, go read the Holy Quran for yourselves. And this is the true Islam. And it has not been sort of misinterpreted, it has not been mistranslated, it has been changed. The text is there. Go and read it for yourselves, and you realize what is true Islam is, not what the Western media is trying to show and demonstrate. And for this reason, I think why he was mentioning, because one part was his duty as a religious leader, as a political leader. He realizes the amount of oppressions happening throughout all the world, and the bullies in this world, such as America, are oppressing. And I think I lived most of my life in UK, and I think the biggest oppression in the Western world is trying to switch down your brain and your intellect, switching down the ability to think, where am I going? What am I doing? Where should I go? What should I do? So these deep questions, they're preventing you to think about them. They're preventing you to go and look for answers for them. And for that reason, you become just a physical entity so that you would serve the purpose of that country, which is to gain more wealth. And if that's your goal, gaining more wealth and power, so, and you don't have no ethics behind it, you'll see. So the likes of nuclear attacks in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, this shows that they wanted power and wealth. For that reason, America used nuclear bomb, and they justified for themselves ethically. So with their ethics that they have, it's fine to drop a nuclear bomb. And with their ethics, it's fine to kill more than 70,000 Gazans in such a literally size of, I think, 1/3 or half of Tehran. With their mindset, it's fine to kill more than 20 or 30,000 innocent babies. And this is fine for them. Why? Because it serves their goal and target. When seeing all this as an individual, I think Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei, he realized that we need to change this. And he has a responsibility to awaken individuals. So we believe that he is a representative of our 12th Imam, and the Imams that we have, the Prophet that we have, and all the Prophets, they came to this world in order to serve the humanity on the road towards the God that He created us. And definitely God does not want a bully to be created out of this. So for that reason, you have to, if you're an holy individual, if you're a spiritual individual, and you have power, so you should actually oppose to the tyrant. And this is the orderings that we have in Islam, even in Christianity, that you need to oppose a tyrant. If you see there's a oppression happening, you need to go and stand up. And I think Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei, this is what he done. By writing those letters, he actually tried to address to the audience directly to realize that this oppression that is happening. And to be honest with you, he didn't mention this, but I believe this, that part of this youth community, without knowing, out of their negligence and out of their ignorance, they are serving the oppressors and the tyrant, because they are working for that sort of establishment. And they need to realize that I should not be part of this. I should not be part of a... And now we can see more people are waking up. For instance, all these protests happening in the ports in different European countries. Why? Because they're realizing the ships that take in weapons and arms towards the Zionist regime is leaving their country from that port. So people go and show their opposition towards them, show their demonstration towards these ports. So this is that awakening that is happening. And what he mentioned around, I think, 5 years ago, that we can see a power shift happening from the West going towards what he mentioned where it used to be in the East. And the reason he says he's not sort of endorsing East, it should be powerful and everything. He mentioned in his speech, East was more powerful because it had more wealth. But for more than 200 years ago, the Western countries, first European countries, then later on America, by coming to this region, looting this region, sabotaging and stealing the wealth of these nations, sovereign nations in this region, they try to make themselves more powerful and more wealthy. But now the world's changing, and the power is returning back to where it should belong, because literally God created all these wealth and minerals in this region. We didn't put them there. God put them there. So it means those nations should be more wealthy. For instance, in Africa, there's loads of wealth in Africa, loads of minerals and sort of mines and oil. But why the money is not being spent for them? How come France does not have any gold mines, but they own loads of gold? Because they're looting from Africa. And now African nations are standing up. So you can see this happen in Niger. We can see this happen in Congo. They're realizing, they're waking up, and this power shift is happening. And the stance of Iran throughout was, we as a nation, now I'm just thinking about how Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei was thinking as an Iranian. Before, he was thinking as a religious leader, which he has responsibility for the rest of the world. But as an Iranian, he always mentioned we need to have a strong Iran. and strong but by not looting other nations. Strong Iran means we should have stronger neighbors. We should have more trades with them. And this he mentioned throughout the years. Once we had the president who was thinking that the only way to progress is to have ties and financial relationships with the Western countries. He was mentioning we have all these neighboring countries and more than I think 300 million or more population around us, adjacent to us, and we can have financial ties with them. So stronger neighbors means stronger Iran. Stronger Iran in terms of science, in terms of sort of industry, financial, everything, health, and this is what he was endorsing throughout all these years. I think the biggest product of Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei for Iranians, I would say, then I would say the resistance front, then I would say for the world. For Iranians, I would say stronger Iran. He made Iran much stronger. If I just want to think it domestically. In terms of resistance front, I think his biggest product is the resistance front, because it was not existent beforehand. When you look at the time of Imam Khamenei, the Western world supported Saddam, and he sort of hijacked his nation, Iraq, and came to 8-year war with Iran. There was no resistance front. Okay, so it initiated at time of Imam Khamenei very little steps, but now we can see that resistance front being much stronger and developed at the time of Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei. So resistance front is a product of Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei, and I'm sure Imam Sayyid Mujtaba will progress it even further. And this resistance front, from being a regional sort of network and power, it will turn into global. I'm 100% sure this will happen, God willing, inshallah. And in terms of for the world, what he brought, I would say Imam Khomeini actually established this new system that I remember when I was a child, I was watching a documentary made by BBC in the UK, very old documentary, maybe 30 years old or even more. And in that documentary was showing that religion was being put aside at the time of Imam Khomeini. And people were not valuing religion as much. They were thinking, oh, it's just superstition. And it's some ritualistic things and it doesn't have no meaning, no value. Who is God? So the world was turning into a very secular atheism. Imam Khomeini changed this. And in that documentary was showing that after Imam Khomeini's revolution, Islamic Republic of Iran's revolution in 1979, Christians became more Christian, Jews became more Jewish, Muslims, Shia, Sunni, all of them, Sikhs became more Sikh. So Imam Khomeini brought a new system showing that you can have religion and politics together, and we should have. Because if politics is without religion and ethics, you can see America dropping nuclear bombs in order to, and they bring their own justifications for it. And while the same scenario, Imam Sayyid Ali Khamenei is saying it's unlawful to use nuclear bombs. So this is the two differences. So Imam Khomeini established this new system of religion and politics together. Imam Khamenei, he actually put it, after their establishment, he put it in practice. And he showed with having this Islamic Republic, and he mentioned in his speech, by having Islamic Republic, by having ethical values in Islam, as well as the Republic, meaning the nation together, you can prosper and you can develop in so many different fields. And this is why we were under sanctions, very, very, as mentioned by President of America, crippling sanctions. And yet Iran is flourishing day by day, and they imposed these 3 wars onto us. One of them was biggest war of the century, and then the other 2, the other one which was in May around last year, 12-day war, and this one which ended 40 days of sort of action and combat, and 80 days of sort of war in the diplomatic side and negotiations and all that. So literally Iran still standing on its foot. This is a miracle, and it shows the power of, as I mentioned, having the Islam and Republic together, having the religion and the politics together, And this is what the world is missing. And this is this is the approach that some countries are going towards to. Because even though they're Christians, we're not saying you need to have like a Islam only. You know what I mean? If you're a Christian, true Christian, not the ones which are serving the Zionist regime under the pretext of their religion. So Trump mentioning Iran being Antichrist and all that, the leaders of Iran being Antichrist. Well, we know who's Antichrist right now. Definitely Antichrist suits them more by what they've done in Epstein Island and the Epstein class. So definitely we can realize who's Antichrist. We believe that Antichrist will come. And from your behaviors and your actions, it suits you guys more than what you say to Iran. Because nobody is supporting Palestinian as a country, in all terms, not just by saying, not just by giving money for food or whatever. No, supporting them fully. Whether it's arms, whether it's weapons, so they can defend themselves. It's only Iran as a nation, as a sovereign country. So yeah, we're having the funeral coming in a few days, as I mentioned, and I'm sure it has been broadcasted. These sentences that I say, once it's broadcasted, the funeral has occurred. So in Iranian culture as well as Islamic culture that we have, this funeral, it has loads of meaning. It's not just saying a farewell, and especially once it's farewell when you have a relative who died because of a disease or something. But when it's an individual who is a leader, so many would come in order to show their sign of appreciation for all the efforts that this individual has put. But now if that leader has been martyred, assassinated by the worst of the individuals in this planet, then more people will come, because he has died through oppression. So this, whenever we as Iranians, as Muslim Iranians, when we see oppression, Iranians always going to take side of the oppressed. And now we can see our leader being assassinated alongside his family, his grandchild, his daughter, his son-in-law, so and his daughter-in-law as well. So we see this as a sign of oppression. So Iranians, because there's been oppression going on, so Iranian more people would want to come to this funeral. But now put them all together. So he has been a very, we see our leader as our father. So our father's been assassinated by a tyrant, and therefore many would come to show their sign of appreciation, to show their sign of anger and frustration, and that we want to avenge him because of the oppression that has occurred. And more people would come in order to not just say farewell. Very minority would come and say, okay, we want to say farewell. But this farewell, we say it's a new beginning. And the farewell will be turned into a new beginning. And that's following the footsteps of his son, Imam Sayyid Mujtaba Khamenei. And as I said, this funeral is not going to, usually funerals is there in order to reduce your emotion. So you express your emotion, and after that you can go to your day-to-day life. But no, this funeral is different. After this funeral, there will be more uprising, there will be more awakening happening. And the funeral itself, so people see this as a sign that we need to, by attending the funeral, we need to raise our voices, we need to be heard, not just in Iran, all over the world. They need to see what the world has done against us. And we see it literally, that America has done this, Western countries have supported. And I saw Iran spokesman for the foreign ministry, he mentioned we did not send any official invites to any European countries because they were alongside these tyrannical powers, America, the Zionist regime, Britain, France, Germany, all of them, literally they're all together into this. And we were standing as a country, we were the only country defending ourselves. And so I can see everything compiled together. And if I want to give it a historical aspect, funerals in the Shia faith in Islam, we see it as throughout for our religious leaders and our imams. Throughout the history, we couldn't have a funeral that we wanted. Okay, the only one which I would say we could have had was for Imam Rida alayhi salam, and even that was being organized by the government, which actually assassinated him. So this, I would say, as I think Iran's vice president mentioned, the Shia faith will be seeing its full force funeral for the first time, maybe, because even at the time of Imam Khamenei, we were just after the war, 1 year after the war, so the country was much more weaker situation than what it is right now, and also that axis of resistance was not built back then, but now it's built. That's why never this has happened, that they're taking an Iranian leader to another country for funeral, except for General Haj Qasem Soleimani, which was actually assassinated in Iraq by America and by this Trump, pedophile Trump. And so this is maybe for the first time that the body is being taken to another country for funeral, and I'm sure there will be millions of people attending the funeral over there, and then returning back to Iran, going to Mashhad for funeral and burial. So this is for the first time that's happening, that a religious political leader, we're going to have such a big funeral for him. And what the vice president mentioned, I think, is true. In Shia history, this would be the first time. And again, this shows the strength and the power which being oppressed throughout all these years. For instance, when you look at our second Imam, Imam Hassan alayhi salam, on his funeral, they ordered to shoot arrows to his body. They prevented him to be buried next to his grandfather, the Holy Prophet, where Holy Prophet mentioned all these great attributes regarding his grandson Imam Hassan alayhi salam and Imam Hussein. So this is the funeral that the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam had. But now this shows that the followers of Ahlul Bayt, they are becoming more independent and stronger. So you can see the more of the power of the Shia and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, which it doesn't mean that Shia wants to become more powerful. No. Following the teachings of the Holy Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt, it brings you power. And this power is a holy power that prevents you to become greedy and go towards the materialistic sides. This is a power that when you actually own it, you want to give more to different nations. You want to help them. One example I want to give is when the Zionist regime in the 1980s went and within a day or so, they reached to Beirut. They occupied the Lebanese territories, reached to Beirut. And Iran was at the peak of its war. So some Iranian military individuals, they said, we need to go and help them out and fight on behalf of Lebanese. But Imam Khamenei, peace be upon him, he mentioned, no, you need to return, but you need to train them. So they do their work by themselves. So by this, it wasn't Imam Khamenei was not trying to say that Iran is more important than Lebanon. What he done, and this is the stance of Iran, we want other countries to become sovereign and independent, because this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is how God wants us. God wants us to, each individual become independent as well as sovereign, so they can look after themselves financially and military-wise, everything. But you need to help them, but you should not do their work for them. And by doing so, now we can see in Lebanon, they're much more independent, like the resistance front. Same in Palestine as well, in Gaza. They have the government, they have ministers, they have university, they have hospitals. And this is what the true power of Ahlul Bayt, true power of Islam once for all. Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei, this shows his vision that even before Islamic Revolution, I was watching a documentary made by Lebanese called Khamenei, and I'm sure it's been translated on YouTube. You can find it or other platforms. It showed that prior to the Islamic Revolution, he had three kind of meetings. One was public meeting in a mosque, whether while he was in Mashhad or when he came to Tehran. The second was he had a specific meeting with the people working in trades and in Iran's bazaar. He had that group. And the third group that he had was university students and professors. And he was having speeches and lectures happening in the mosque of Tehran University, as well as there's an adjacent mosque to it, Masjid Amir al-Mu'mineen Mosque, not very far. So reading his autobiography for a few years, that he was sent to prison by the Shah of Iran, which was supported by America and the Western countries. He mentioned that he was giving speeches in that mosque for the university students. And so he had this prior to the Islamic Revolution. And after the Islamic Revolution, once he became the president, as well as once he became the leader, he had sort of dedicated speech with the audience from that categories, from industry, teachers, university professors. That includes sort of medical staff as well, with talented individuals in Iran. And he actually established the sort of a foundation for them, an organization for them as well, to look after their sort of problems, trying to solve their problems, and trying to use these talents, and which in Iran they call them elites, for the government, for the running of the whole country. So he had meetings with entrepreneurs. He had meetings with labor workers. So he had different meetings with different class of lives, as well as different provinces of Iran as well. I personally attended, my first time I saw Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei, I think I was very little. I saw him in Friday prayer in Tehran University's mosque. But first time I met him face to face and actually had a brief chat with him was the meeting that he had with the Iranian students in Europe. So I think it was 2010. That was the first time that I saw him. And as soon as I saw him, he came to the room, and that was a time where we had all these post-election riots in Iran. Now we know that they're sponsored by America and supported by them. Even Facebook, I remember Hillary Clinton was saying that she exposed that she ordered and she talked to Zuckerberg, and in order to make Facebook to serve these riots and protests in Iran. So that was the first time I saw him, and I even kissed his hand. I asked to kiss his hand. His bodyguard said no, but the leader says it's fine, and I kissed him. And I wrote a letter. I gave it to him, and he usually the letters sometimes his office take it, but I gave it to him personally. He put it in his pocket himself. And I saw the things I wrote in letters, very long, but I saw the changes that he made, and I suggested in the letter. After a few days, he actually announced certain changes, and that happened. And later on, I saw him in the meetings that he had with the professors. I went, the meeting that he had with the talents, and once I stood up, I was not supposed to talk, or I didn't have. It was not my time, but after everyone talked, and before he starts his speech, I raised my hand up and I mentioned points that he mentioned maybe 30 years back, but I can see in Iran's university ecosystem and industry ecosystem is not being put in place. And I mentioned these points, and throughout his speech he referred to the points that I raised. So by doing so, you realize he was not just a leader, he was a father, and a father that has children in different sectors. and yet with one pair of eyes he's trying to look equally towards all of them and serve all of them. And another thing which is interesting, I remember I saw the video, I was not there. He had a meeting with the international students in Iran, and he said certain sentences that the audience, all the international students, he delivered the speech in the city of Qom. They started being in tears and crying. He said that's very welcome for you to come into Iran. You're not alone here. Iran is your home, is your second home, and I am your father. And he didn't say it just to raise emotions, he meant it. And this is how he saw literally other nations, other countries. And I'm sure Zionist regime in America and the Western countries, they thought by assassinating him, he will be gone. No, his spirit will be here and is guiding us, and definitely it made Iran much more stronger, his blood. And as I said, there are more to come. I'm 100% sure more to come, not just in Iran, in even other. You saw how Iranians are united against, to the extent that the TV reporter is asking, telling the Iran's foreign ministry that American troops are going to put their foot on Iran's soil. What do you think? He said, we're waiting for them. This is the strength of Iran. He made Iran much more united. And with different religious backgrounds, with different political backgrounds, all of them united because of the blood of Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei. And this is just Iran. Now see, you have to wait and see the impact of it. It's like a domino effect. You'll see an impact and effects in America, UK, other countries as well. And literally his blood catalyzes this power transfer from the west to east, and it's going to happen much sooner. If I want to just address in one sentence who is Imam Seyyed Ali Khamenei, I would say he's a gift from the Creator, so go and investigate him.